exciting times at TheInformer. We've just got some fabulous bit of news, and it concerns Michael Robotham. He's just won one of the most prestigious crime writing awards in the world. He's received the 2020 Crime Writers Association Gold Dagger for his book, Good Girl, Bad Girl. I want to find out a whole lot more about that book. Michael's a best-selling author. His psychological thrillers have been translated into 25 languages and published in more than 50 countries, which augurs well and tells you that the quality of his work has captured the imagination of so many people. He's published 15 books. He's the only Australian author to ever win 2 gold daggers, and is part of a recent run of Aussie Dagger winners and shortlisters who have included people like Jane Harper, Mark Brandy and Emma Viskich. Let's welcome him via Zoom. He's in Sydney and sitting there pretty content. Michael Robotham, welcome to TheInformer.
Thank you, George.
Now, you got up at an extraordinary time in the morning. When did you find out that something special was cooking or brewing in the background?
Well, I knew I'd been shortlisted for the award, but when I won the award in 2015 for Life or Death, it was a big, black tie event at the Guildhall in London, and all the shortlisted authors were there, including J.K. Rowling. And this time around, it had to all be done virtually, and they wouldn't give me any indication whether I'd won. But I had to drag myself out of bed at about 5 in the morning, and drink copious amounts of coffee. And I just honestly assumed that I wouldn't win. I thought they would have told me if I'd won or given me a bit of a heads up. And it came as a complete shock when they announced it.
That's just the best thing. That's just the best thing. I've just got to say, this is your second gold. It's very special. Many congratulations to you. What does this particular win mean? It's an international award. Surely, is it validation, vindication? What is it?
I look at it's all of those things, really. I think the Daggers, there are 2 great crime writing awards in the world. The Daggers are probably the biggest, and then there are the Edgars in America. But they're open to they're international awards. They're not based on a country. So, it is looking at these are looking at books that have been published all around the world in any given year. So there are thousands of books that are submitted. So it is vindication. And I think it's such an exclusive club now. One of the reasons that I didn't think I could possibly win is, I grew up in Gundagai, of all places. The idea that a little boy from Gundagai, could win 2 gold daggers and join the likes of John le Carré and Ruth Rendell and Colin Dexter in that exclusive little club, it just was beyond my imagination, really. But no, it's huge vindication, and it's, I can sit in my rocking chair and tell my grandkids about the fact that I've won 2 gold daggers.
Now, I mentioned you've been translated into 25 languages. You sell in 50 countries. Which is the biggest country that has acclaimed you from the very beginning? Who has actually understood the way that Michael Robotham writes?
Well, I had a hugely important start to publishing. My very first novel triggered a bidding war at the London Book Fair in 2002, and got sold on 117 pages, so a part manuscript, and it got sold into more than 20 languages in the space of 3 hours, and there were frantic bidding wars. It is like winning the lottery. But of all those countries, Germany was the place that I seemed to absolutely take off. To the point I've had people visit Germany, and I visit there regularly, who say that there aren't bookshops in Germany, there are Michael Robotham shops in Germany. And it is, I'll go to Germany on tour, and there'll be 700 people will show up to an event, and people will be waiting at my hotel when I arrive. You've got a little inkling of what it's like to be a rock star, which is very unusual as a writer.
Now, do you speak any German?
No. I made an attempt to learn just the basics, but I have no ear for languages whatsoever.
Wow.
And it is a strange thing when you tour in countries or you're successful in countries where you don't speak the language. I mean, I have to travel with translators, and they always have very famous German actors that do my readings for me every time I do an event. And in Germany, I think they've just finished making the 6th film based on my novels that's been made in Germany.
That is just remarkable, and it tells you that clearly your plots appeal to the way they think and the way they embrace a story. Surely it must give you an idea what it's like to be one of these sporting stars who plays an international market, and they have their personal interpreter standing alongside them to pass on whatever was going on. Now, your first book was, what was it again? The first book that you won the first gold Dagger?
Oh, the first one, the one that won the first gold Dagger was Life or Death.
Life or Death. Now, Good Girl, Bad Girl. What's so special about Good Girl, Bad Girl?
Good Girl, Bad Girl is the start of a new series, and so I came up with completely new characters, and I think what I think makes the book so special is the Good Girl, Bad Girl I'm talking about really is a character called Evie Cormack, who is, I think, the most fascinating character I've ever written. She's a very damaged, vulnerable teenage girl who, when she was as young as 8 or 9, no one knows her real age, she was found hiding in a secret room in a house where a man had been murdered, and she refused to reveal a name or how she got there. And the story actually begins when she's a teenager and she's still living in care, having been given a name by the courts. And she wants to be released as an adult, but she's very damaged, she's very vulnerable, and she has this unique ability that she can tell when someone is lying. And it's not some sort of superpower. In fact, it's a curse to give to anyone, because you and I know we lie all the time. I mean, but we lie to keep relationship together. When you say, gee, I love your new hairdo, or you say, I bought it on special, or I only had the one beer, or I got caught in traffic. I mean,
you're giving away too much information.
But yeah, I mean, so you imagine if you always knew someone was lying. I mean, 3 little words like I love you take on a whole new meaning, if you know that someone is not being genuine. So it's a curse to give to anyone.
Look, already with those few lines that you've offered us, I want to buy the book. I want to read the book. I want to find out about Evie. Are Australian authors at the moment flavour of the month? Have we been well received?
Yeah, we are. It's I think there was a long period of time in Australia and internationally where the British would read British crime fiction and the Americans would read American crime fiction, and in Australia we would read whatever the British and the Americans would send us. We didn't really have a really vibrant local crime writing sort of industry, and I think there was a bit of cultural cringe involved in that, and Australians didn't think that we did it well enough, or that the Americans and the Brits did it better. And all of that has changed. And I think, it changed. Jane Harper just blew the doors off when it came to having a huge international success with an Australian-based novel. And I think also that Nordic noir, which became so big after Stieg Larsson and The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, proved that people around the world want to read compelling stories, and they want to read them set in new, fresh, interesting locations. And I think Australia is now catching that wave, and we are producing so many brilliant, brilliant young crime writers.
The investigative journalist in you, has that played a big part in helping you create some of these great characters for your new books?
Yeah, no, it definitely. I think having journalism as a background, in a sense, I wanted to be a writer from about the age of 11 or 12. And journalism was a way of gathering material. I'd grown up in very small country towns in New South Wales, and I felt as though I had nothing to write about because Mark Twain had stolen all the best plots. And so journalism took me all around the world, covering the most amazing events, Berlin Wall coming down and the collapse of the Soviet Union, and all of that, even going back to my earliest days working, doing the crime beat on a Sydney newspaper, all of that material goes, it's all there for me to draw upon when I'm creating characters and creating plots.
Well, it's a great story. The boy from Gundagai, now world famous, not just a gold Dagger winner, but a two-time gold Dagger winner. We wish you every success, continued success, and you might start a new fresh course of German, because I hear they might be calling you soon again. Michael Robotham, thank you so very much for joining us on The Informer. We look forward to reading Good Girl, Bad Girl, and we wish you every success for what's to come next. Michael Robotham,